It's finally happening.
Here we are coming into Beaufort, South Carolina. We're hoping that the tide is low enough now for us to fit under the bridge. We pushed into Brunswick River with only the aid of our chart plotter and our ears. Now I wish we had radar. What are these birds doing?
Here it goes!
Here we are coming into Miami. This is way more epic than I even imagined. I've dreamt of taking off in a sailboat to cruise the world for as long as I can remember. And now that dream is coming true. In our last episode, we bought a Catalina 42 Mark II. Jeff closed his business and I quit my job. We sold our house, our cars, and 90% of our belongings and moved to Charleston, South Carolina. There we faced Hurricane Ian as we prepared for our new life as full-time cruisers. The December temperatures are starting to dip into the 30s, and 2022 is coming to a close, so it's time to head south to warmer weather. The only way to make the passage tolerable is to travel during the warmer hours of the day and pull into rivers before dark and anchor for the night. Our first stop will be the South Edisto River, then Beaufort, South Carolina, Brunswick, Georgia, Fernandina Beach, Florida, Jacksonville, Port Canaveral, Fort Pierce, and finally Key Biscayne, which is just south of Miami. Our friend Alan joined us as far as Brunswick, Georgia to lend a hand as we got more acquainted with Mandala. We left the Maritime Center Marina in Charleston under a beautiful crimson sky at 0700 hours. It was a crisp 36 degrees Fahrenheit, but our excitement kept us warm from the inside.
Morning, Captain.
Morning. Here we are. It's finally happening.
I have read that the first year living on a boat, moving nomadically from place to place, is the hardest. So we take these first steps with equal parts excitement and trepidation. What will this new lifestyle really be like? What challenges will we face? What will we learn about ourselves? Will it change us? Time will tell. Day one to the South Edisto River was windless and uneventful. Day two took us up the Port Royal Sound and onto the Beaufort River in South Carolina. Getting to the town of Beaufort required us to wait for the tide to go down so we could get under the bridge. Okay, look at there. So we've got 66 feet. You can see on the marker on the left. Going under bridges is always a bit stressful. You really have to trust the chart information because it's impossible to tell if you're going to hit until you're actually under the bridge. Unfortunately, we didn't get much time to visit the town of Beaufort. We'll have to save that for next time. From Beaufort, we had our first overnight passage heading to Brunswick, Georgia. As we pulled into the St. Simon Sounds, we were swallowed by a thick blanket of fog. Our adrenaline kicked in as we pushed into Brunswick River with only the aid of our chart plotter and our ears. Now I wish we had radar. We crossed our fingers that no giant freighters or fishing boats would come barreling out as we were coming in. It was New Year's Eve day and everyone was too beat to celebrate the new year, so we dropped Alan off and went to bed feeling very accomplished. The next day, the fog lifted, so we met up with Alan and his wife Cheryl to enjoy what we call coastal living. We grabbed some fresh shrimp from the local shrimp shack and proceeded to make an amazing dinner. Now this is living the dream. Marinas can be expensive, so we decided to head back down the Brunswick River to the St. Simon Sounds where we could anchor off Jekyll Island for free. It was so special to travel here on our own floating house. We took the dinghy ashore so we could enjoy walking through the live oak trees dripping in Spanish moss. Then later we watched the sun melt into the horizon. We left at first light in 54 degrees and 0 wind. We floated under an opalescent sky of shimmering pale pinks and blues as we drifted past the St. Simon's Lighthouse and headed south. What are these birds doing? I think they're waiting on us. Bon voyage party. Good morning. We're heading out, just Jeff and I. It's our first time, just the two of us now. We'll be picking up John at Fernandina, and then we'll have a group again, but this is pretty nice. Leaving Jekyll Island in the distance there. It's a special place for us. We've spent so many spring camping trips there with Tegan and riding bikes, picnics, taking some good friends there. Our next stop would be the historic town of Fernandina Beach, which is on Amelia Island and home to Fort Clinch and a cool lighthouse. Here we picked up our next crew member, John, and enjoyed a beverage at the Palace Saloon, which has been bringing sailors together since 1903. Before every passage, whether there is wind or not, we always rig our jack lines, which run across the deck and give us a point to tie our harness into should we need to leave the safety of the cockpit. Jack lines and harnesses ensure that if someone were to fall overboard, they would still be attached to the boat. So even if there's no wind and waves now, you never know when that could change, making the deck a potentially dangerous place to be. It gives me a peace of mind knowing that everything is rigged before we go. We had a short, uneventful hop to Jacksonville, Florida, and then another overnight passage to Cape Canaveral. While in Cape Canaveral, we were lucky enough to witness a SpaceX rocket launch right over our heads.
Here it goes. Woohoo!
Just looks like a... Yeah, it's just bright as... Look at it. I'm about to pan off the screen here. Oh, there's the sound. Our next stop was Fort Pierce, where we stayed for a week to visit family, and then from there we had another overnight passage to Miami. Seeing Miami from the water is pretty iconic. The coast is flanked with white high-rise buildings that seem to go on for miles. But coming into Government Cut and into the heart of the city was just breathtaking. We are coming into Miami. This is way more epic than I even imagined. I actually didn't imagine what it would be like, but this kind of blew my mind. Coming straight in, heading straight for the city. We're going to actually be turning right up against those buildings to head over to our anchorage over off the tip of Key Biscayne. So this is pretty cool. We just passed Millionaire Row is what I would call it. Just all these really beautiful high-rise condominiums. And these freighters that come in here, really the tugboats is who I have all the respect for. I mean, really all of them. The seamanship that it requires to get these things in here. I mean, this channel is so narrow. They have no room to maneuver, and yet they park themselves. Look at this. And here's the green mark. That green mark, they cannot go on the other side of it. It's very shallow. You can see the cruise ships on the other side. There's one. Biscayne Bay is notoriously shallow, so we time our passage for high tide and stay inside the red and green marks on our way to Key Biscayne. Then we got some serious mega yachts in here. Ferris wheel. So just on the other side of that green mark is water. It's really too shallow for us. We have to stay in this channel. It's going to get really skinny in a little bit. We need at least 7 feet, and it's almost low tide, and low tide is 8 feet. Jeff likes to play chicken with big yachts. Just kidding. So we have to come down here and then go up along the other side. I'm not sure where we turn. We might turn down there, or do we turn right here? We turn to this green mark. That one. Alright, we're going now. Look it up there. Well, I see a line of markers. I hope that's the stuff we need to follow. Stay out of the shallows. Alright, wish us luck. At the southern tip of Key Biscayne is Billbag State Park, and a great little anchorage giving us access to the park with walking trails, beaches, bars, and is even walking distance to grocery stores and pretty much anything we'd need. And look at this sunset. I've never noticed that you can see the transition line between day and night fall across the sky. It's a bit symbolic of the way I feel right now, in this moment, becoming something new. Coming down the coast was stressful, even without wind. I mean, we motored almost the whole way. But we're still getting to know the boat and learning how to make an overnight passage and timing high tides. It's a lot of work. But being here, anchored for free in this turquoise water and balmy air, we're finally slowing down, and it feels like we have transitioned to the life we dreamed of. Thank you for watching this episode of Sailing Mandela. Please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can keep up with future episodes.